Hello, my name is Lita Abella, and welcome to my show, What's Your Story in the New Normal? I'm an entrepreneur, health and wellness consultant, licensed private investigator, and former LAPD lieutenant. And in between all that, I went to law school and obtained my JD. I tell stories that inform, inspire, and influence others. Well, October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And so today, my guest is Lorena Cacciatore from Sanando Corazones. And we are going to talk about domestic violence and what her organization does to help victims in these types of situations. So welcome, Lorena. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you.
Great. So I want to talk about your organization, which was referred to me through a mutual friend of ours. And when she told me about this organization, I was very interested to hear what you do. As you know, I'm a former police officer. And so I have dealt with hundreds, if not even thousands, of victims of domestic violence. Also, as a licensed private investigator, I've been hired to help people, make their way to court, help them with just going through the whole legal process, which can be very, very traumatic for people. So welcome to the show. And well, let's start off with, what is your position with the organization?
I am the executive director and founder of Sanando Corazones. We have been in existence for about 6 years. We're a nonprofit, 501c, and our whole very passionate about helping the lower income, poverty-stricken Latina women that don't have accessibility to assistance with paperwork. We're about awareness, prevention, and really helping this community get the resources that are necessary in order to get them through court or any type of anything that they really need.
Okay, and your organization is in Los Angeles County?
Yes, it is. It's in LA County.
And is there a certain geographical area that you primarily focus on, like Southern California or just LA County?
All of Southern California, San Fernando Valley, Santa Clarita Valley. So most of all, Southern California.
Okay.
And we do have a 24-hour hotline. We do have accessibility 24/7. We have a crisis intervention line, and we are constantly, and that's 7 days a week. There's no day off for us. So there's someone always available to help, especially during crisis intervention.
So do you have a large staff because that's a big time area for someone to always be responsive to?
Well, we have a small staff. We're starting, but we all have our cell phones and we carry those, and wherever we go, we're available as well. And so the people that are on staff we also do quite a preventive and educational teaching, life skills, teaching about it's called Lámpara, which is something happened.
Oh,
something happened there. Oh, you can see me? Something went out. Oh, okay. It just closed up. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. It is a domestic 101, giving them prevention, characteristics of an abuser, talking about child abuse, resources. I would say mostly to focus on them and help them get through this time of need, and that there is somewhere that they can come that's supportive and passionate to help them in anything they might need. housing, any type of, giving of resources to food banks or anything that we can. This is what we do.
And so you mentioned like housing, resources, food, and so forth. How do you get those items? Do you have people that volunteer, or how do you get those resources?
Well, we have listings and we have resources and donations that come in from donors. That's why we do have we work with other domestic violence centers as well, and we help each other with resources if we have needs. We have a mom that's a single mom or needs furniture. We go about and finding each other. We help each other in that way to find resources to help that mom, or clothing. So we have a big network, and we try to help each other in support of providing the needs that we find at that time. Because each case is individual. Each case is different. There's some with family, some with no family. So different age groups, and really focusing on the Latino population. And I didn't say that, but we do also, all of our resources and our website are in English and Spanish.
That was going to be my next question.
Okay.
Since you're focusing on the Latino population, do you have people that actually can converse and speak Spanish, bilingual people to assist with the people that contact your organization? So you do?
Yes, everyone is bilingual. Every single staff member is bilingual. And I think that was the most important thing, is finding that, because that's how I started, and it was in the Latino population in our meetings, and that was the greatest need that I felt. They weren't having, there's a lot of resources in LA County, but there was still a lack of connection with the Latino community in getting those services, and having someone that would understand the culture and would understand the language. So that was my mainstream, to try to find that assistance and that help for that population.
And what motivated you to start this organization and reach out to this? Well, what we know, there are a lot of victims in this type of situation.
I was in college, and my mentor, Dr. Kathy Mathis, was a speaker there. And I had come from a family of domestic violence, and it was a survivor and a victim as well. And I was studying psychology, and I saw her at a conference, and this is what I want to do. This woman motivated me and inspired me to be, that I could, wanted to help and to be able to do that. So I get very emotional about that, because it changed my life. And met her, and she hired me, and there was a process, going to school and working for her and really getting involved. And we were in a Latino community, so the resources, and that I was bilingual, and that I was able to reach, these women, it was wonderful. It was wonderful.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, I hear a little bit of feedback. Okay. One of the reasons why, and this is coming from my background in law enforcement, but one of the reasons why victims of just about any crime, but a lot with domestic violence, don't want to call the police is because they're afraid that maybe they're going to get deported, or if they're here illegally. What would you tell a victim who's in that situation?
We have a lot of women like that. And now I can tell you probably more than 50% of the women or the clients have those issues. There is resources, there is safety. We work with neighborhood legal services, VAWA, and trying to help with resources for these women to obtain legalization, and they're not, most of them have children here, and so that they're not fearful that the law is here to protect them. And usually the perpetrator, this is where they get a hold of that fear and that terror. Well, if you leave me, this is what I'm going to do, or there's the threats. And so they're scared. Number one is that fears, the power and control over that victim. And this is where we come in to say, hey, you have a voice. You have someone here that can support you. Someone can go to court with you, a court advocate. You're not alone, and that we're here to support you.
That's great. And I know that the city of Los Angeles is a sanctuary city in which, when I was working in law enforcement, we didn't look at a person's immigration status. That didn't matter to us.
Right.
If you were a victim of a crime, you were a victim of a crime. We didn't care what country you came from, what your status was. We were going to take care of you and, file a report and so forth. Another stumbling block that I recall in my days in law enforcement is a lot of times the victims will finally call the police and get that help, make that first step. Sometimes the abuser gets arrested, and let's say that the abuser does, but then the victim doesn't want to go to court. Do you offer any services or help in that situation?
Yes, we do court advocacy. We prepare them for court. We go to court with them. We help them get the paperwork that they need. If they need assistance to fill out the papers, everything that encounters that first step and to get into court to be able to defend themselves or get a restraining order, or also a protective order, or custody when there's children involved. We also do that. So yes, we're very involved in helping and going to court. I think that the most important thing when a victim is that first step going to court, like you said, that the fear, but if they have someone with them, that's their support and saying, okay, I'm not alone. I'm someone's here with me to support me and can help me along the way. So we offer that guidance. And what I found so great here is that the judges are, now so willing to, allow the court advocates, even during this time of pandemic, that where we're so restricted in the amount of people in the court hearings that they have, that they will allow the court advocates in.
And you just mentioned a key word, the pandemic. Now, I've read articles, I've heard on the news that due to the pandemic, since most of us have been we were in lockdown, some of us, some restrictions have opened up, but many of us are still working from home. A lot of kids are getting homeschooled now with, online and so forth. And domestic violence, child abuse, child endangerment, a lot of these familial issues have increased tremendously. Have you seen a rise in?
Yes, completely. Since we started back in June, and just unbelievable the amount of calls, the amount of restraining orders, abuse is risen quite a bit. It has been nonstop since June, and I know that a factor being economics and other factors in, but we have been very, very busy, extremely busy.
Well, you mentioned restraining orders. So for somebody who has never filed a restraining order, can you kind of walk through the process of, I know what it is, but for people who may be listening and watching this and who may be in this situation and they don't know what to do, and they're like, okay, well, I can call you, but what do I expect? What can you do for me? Can you kind of walk through the situation?
Sure. First step is obviously getting the help. A lot of people will refer someone, and I always say, have the call. I think that it's very important to take the first step of wanting to get help. Obviously, if you're in a crisis and we need to call, we will call. But I've always believed that, because many women will go to court and the average of going back and forth in a domestic violence or an abusive relationship is probably maybe 13 times, I think it is, what's the average of, leaving and going back to the abuser. But what I found is that once you make a call and that you're saying, okay, I want to receive this help, I'm calling, I'm reaching out, I want this assistance, then what we do is we get the information, we do an intake, we get the information, we set up an appointment. I'm a one-on-one person or meeting with one of the other advocates. And what we do is we take the information, we tell them, this is what, this is the court paperwork. You can download it now. It's so easy. Everything is online, so they're able to do that. Then they can take the paperwork. Neighborhood Legal Services also offers that. It's a nonprofit that offers assistance with that. But if there isn't, and this is what happened definitely during the pandemic, all those offices were closed. So how are they going to get help? So there I was, we were filling out paperwork and going online and filling out paperwork to assist them because there was no assistance, nothing at the courts. You couldn't even call in because there was no help. So we went ahead and learned a lot about doing this, because usually we don't fill out all the paper. We'll assist them, but this time we did. And I think the most important thing is that when you're filling out the paperwork, that there's clarity and obviously the declaration, and that's the most difficult part of it, is to do the declaration, because that tells the judge exactly what's happening, the abuse, the fear, the threats, and sometimes without knowing the language, how are they going to express that? So we assist with that. And after that, once they file the paperwork, we'll even go to court with them to help them in the process. Many of them have never been to court, so we'll go with them to court. We'll tell them where the filings. We go to all of LA County courthouses with family law, and we'll go there, help them with the paperwork, just step by step, like a baby steps. We're just helping them, doing all the filing, and then once they have a court date and they meet that court date and their restraining order is, in process, and they do have that, we assist them that day in court. And I think it's the emotional support, and that we're there clarifying that, this is what's going to happen. The judge is going to talk to you. Most of them cannot afford any services at all from an attorney. So they're on their own, and having someone there to support them and just kind of say, this is what's going to happen. It really is, I think that it gives them that confidence. And that's what we work on, and giving them a voice and that confidence of, you can do this, we're here with you. So that's kind of the whole process.
And you just mentioned another point, which was a lot of these victims cannot afford to hire an attorney, which I work with a lot of attorneys, and they can be very, very expensive. However, I'm sure you know about legal aid.
Yes.
They're all over California, and there's also attorneys who will take cases pro bono, which,
yes,
for our viewers who don't know, that means they take it for free. And a lot of attorneys actually have to put in so many hours per year to work for free. And it depends on the type of law, but there are resources out there for people, which is great. And so if there's a will, there's a way there to help the victims.
One thing I want to comment on that, we have a listing of, attorneys that say that they're pro bono, but when it comes time, it's very difficult, because now I have 2 cases. They wanted to charge $20,000 to do, or $5,000 for a restraining order. And, where is a victim going to get $5,000 for someone to help them? So we asked if they would do it pro bono or to help defend in a custody case. And it's far and few. So, yes, we do contact them, and they're overwhelmed. There's thousands and thousands of cases where, they're needed. So it's very difficult to get that assistance, or legal aid, or even at Neighborhood Legal Services. So they offer some attorneys some advice. They'll give you maybe an hour, give you something informal, but there's not really, to this date, I have never had an attorney do a pro bono case for a domestic violence case.
Really?
So if there's any attorneys out there, contact us if they're willing to do that. It would be great.
Okay.
You know, giving back to your community.
Yes, yes, because I do know that there are attorneys who, and law firms, I would say more so law firms that have the resources that can
Right.
provide attorneys that can give, you know, so many hours. I mean, obviously they can't give hundreds and hundreds of hours, but
Right.
so many hours in special circumstances. And so maybe a solo or small firm attorney, that's not something that they could do, but the large law firms that are making a lot of money, they're usually the ones that will have the pro bono attorneys. So let's see, we have about 5 minutes left. So if somebody is in a situation where they may need your services, primarily your target market are people from the Latino community. And we both know that a victim of domestic violence can be a male or a female, but are they mostly females?
Yes, mostly female. Yes. I've had many cases prior that I have had males, but we deal with, you know, women only. I have worked with also perpetrators. I facilitate groups for men as well, the 52-week batterers. But right now, with this high increase in victims, I'm really focused on helping the Latinas, and really there's an area where they're poverty stricken, that really are in poverty and don't even have assistance, even some that, you know, transportation to get to court, quite a few things, and really focusing on the family and the children, you know, custody issues and safety, which is number one. So we have resources, and we try to give them, you know, it's case management. We're doing everything that we can so that we can assist them in all their needs. And like I said, there's so many different cases, scenarios, and as well as you know that, and especially in the Latino community, having those fears for their life and the threats, and taking that safety and confidentiality, and as I told you before, with our location. But we have our website, we have an email address, we have our telephone numbers, and we get back, and we're well known for that. You know, we get back right away.
And that's exactly what I was going to ask you before we leave. Oh, there's something back there. What is the phone number they can call?
661 area code 436-8017. That's Sanando Corazones. We also have 661-670-7003. That's crisis.
Okay, because I can put this in the show notes so that anybody who's watching this will be able, if you know, if they know somebody or maybe them themselves. So 661-436-8017 or 661-670-7003 is the crisis hotline.
Yes.
And what's the website?
It's Sanando, SANANDO, Corazones 77 @gmail.com.
Oh, that's the email address. Okay. And then the website address?
Sanando Corazones USA.com.
Okay. Okay. Well, this has been very, very informative, and I hope that this episode will reach out to anybody who is, you know, a victim of these types of heinous crimes and circumstances. And if you know of anyone that is involved in these types of situations, please let them know about these resources. And so please like this episode, please subscribe. And until our next episode, I hope everyone stays safe and stays healthy. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Rita. Thank you for having me. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.